Here we're live from we're live on Substack from desktop computers
That's right. That's right. Breaking.
after many requests and much consternation
Yes. Yes, indeed.
in the Safari web browser in my case, and it's mostly working.
Mine too. I have to say, Chris, I'm kind of excited that you're a Safari user. I'm sure you notice this, in tech companies, it's a lot of Chrome usage, and I'm a Safari diehard, and I'm glad that I work at a company where I'm not alone.
I've just over the years I've slowly regressed into being a basic Apple person. I started
It's
my life as
good.
like an Android. I got into Android because the development was so much easier. You had so much access to things. Uh, and over time, I kind of just got ground down by all of the pain and horrible brokenness of all the, and now I'm just like, I have a Mac. I use Safari. I use the Notes app to take notes in. I'm
No,
just
me too. I'm
into the
sure we've
button
talked about
style.
this. It's a little humiliating. I used to care so much about my setup, and I was such a tinkerer, hardware, software, everything. Even, I used to make custom icons for my Mac, and I've gotten to the state now where it's everything out of the box, everything basic all the time. And I think it's probably good for us as people making software, but it's a little like I feel like old Mills would be very ashamed.
Well, what should we talk about? I mean, we didn't really. Our plan was to investigate this cool desktop live feature we built. We could talk about the beautiful new UI we're testing at the top of the feed.
Oh, sure, yeah, because I'm getting pinged about it, and so far most of the feedback has been. I don't know if you saw in Treem feedback about. I think people are really anchoring on the badges, and so a lot of the feedback I've gotten has been people either asking about the badges or, in at least one case, and I think Doug and John are literally trying to figure this out right now, trying to understand why they won't decrement all the way. Doug speculated that it might be that some of the hidden media elements are still being counted, and so you can't see them, but they're still there. But yeah, we could chat about that. But we got to keep something in the bag too, right? What should we say about it?
Oh yeah, maybe we should. Well, we could be mysterious then. That's a good point.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
We might
We're,
give away too much if we talk
we don't want to
about
give away
all of
too
the ambition
much.
with it.
We're testing something exciting that will not immediately. It will not immediately be clear why it's so exciting. Maybe a little bit, but we think it could be really, really big for everyone on Substack long term, medium term, maybe in a couple of months.
Have you seen the Ilya clip that's floating around where Rakesh asked him how they're going to make money, and he's like, "I
No.
think the answer to that will reveal itself in time," or
Oh
something
God,
similar to that. It was
that's dark. Oh my God. At least he didn't say we're going to monetize the data, but that's grim, man.
it's pretty cool. Safe super intelligence.
Yeah. Well, so no, we came up with the list of topics we came up with were, or I floated AI stuff we've been reading. Have you been reading anything?
Why did you have to ask me that?
Wait, is it a bad one? What is it?
It's not bad. I started digging into the open society and its enemies.
Oh, that's
The
not bad.
Popper
It's
book.
just it's like we're being cliches of ourselves, dude. How good is that?
I'm strangely compelled by it. I'll be honest. I've read kind of like the first big section of it. I I was gonna say the first big section of it where all he does is kind of like get mad at Plato, but I'm starting to wonder if that's the whole book at this point.
Man, before I ever read Popper, I had this buddy I met through Tumblr. And he once said, I was talking about Plato or something, and he said, Popper hates Plato. And I said, what? And he said, oh, yeah, he blames Plato for fascism, for totalitarianism, really. And I thought that seemed insane. And then I loved the Open Society. I love Popper.
And is a
And
totally accurate characterization.
it is. I still think Popper is strangely willing to credit one person for that. Like, I basically feel like that would have been an idea that came about. Like, I don't fault Plato for it, but I do think his characterization is pretty good, and it is somewhat persuasive. And I'm sure you had this experience when I read the Republic. I found the Republic pretty horrifying. I think especially to a contemporary American, you read the Republic and you go, this sounds like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah,
That's cool though. I'm excited to hear that. We got to talk about that when I'm out there.
I love that. Gabriel joined. Should we talk about his book and weight collection?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The counter signal of the barbell. Gabriel, are you making progress athletically? Let us know in the chat. That's okay, man. It would be weird for you to be buff, I think. But you never know. I got to start working out. Oh, it's not bad.
What are you reading these days, Mouse?
Um, well, first off, I'm making very slow progress in everything I'm reading. I don't, you have these periods where it's like sometimes I'm on a tear, and other times it's like months of I have poor reading habits right now. I'm probably spending too much time online. And, I mean, I know I am. And also it's just, kids, sicknesses, all that stuff. But, I have been reading and loving, I brought my books over just for this call. So I think I've told you this, that I'm reading, McIntyre's After Virtue. This is really a lot of fun. It's a little crazy, but it's really fun. But the big thing I want to mention, because I'm so excited about this book, and this is where we really need mirroring, right? Is this is Lone Star, um, by a man whose name I won't, Fehrenbach. It's a history of Texas and the Texans. It's a little thick, but this book is the most fun I've had reading in months and months and months. It's extremely fun, and it's held me up from so many other things that I've been enjoying. I was, trying to get into Paul Kingsnorth's new book, Against the Machine, and then I read an excellent review of it on Substack that has made me feel less bad about not getting to it immediately. And then
Did it
Kizzy and I have been
spoil it?
working. Yeah, mild spoiler. And Kizzy and I have been working through a Paradise Lost prose version that's really fun and totally crazy. And she naturally gravitates completely towards Satan, which is a challenge for a parent. But yeah, that's been it. But I mean, like maybe 10 pages a day on this thing, even though it's extremely readable and the prose is so good. And it does. I just saw somebody talking in notes about how they had read someone saying that LLMs would replace historians, but historians are actually maybe the least replaceable because they are the ones who verify documents and ascertain the provenance of like sources and history, sources and facts. And this guy is he's one of those people you just go, this is irreplaceable. The prose is so good, it's so interesting, and he's done so much like heavy, boring work to figure out what exactly happened when and how, and particularly my sense of early Texas history was totally unformed. I did not really know that much about the Comanches. He claims the Comanches are the greatest mobile military force in human history. Um, and it's really interesting to read why he makes that argument. So anyway, loving that. And I don't know if you know this, I don't really like. I have a chip on my shoulder about Texas because I'm a Louisianian, and they're richer and better than we are, and I resent them. But it's softening me a little bit on Texas.
Very cool.
Wait, I thought you were going to talk about what's happening in 2 months' time. What's happening in 2 months' time? Do you know, Chris?
No.
Oh, Sam Sudar says he saw at least one work of true genius on that file. I think I know what he's talking about. I don't know where my copy is. God, I gotta read. I'm so behind on books, man. I'm done. I'm losing it.
What else is due? What are your Thanksgiving plans? What are you thankful for?
Oh God, Chris, geez. I mean, we were just joking in that last meeting about being earnest and cringy. I have no fun or interesting uh, a way to avoid being cringy about that. I feel grateful on the order of indebtedness lately. I mean, it's germane to this. I feel extremely grateful for this job and this company. I feel really grateful for my family. I basically don't feel like I was a good enough person to have wound up in the position I'm in right now. And it makes me feel like I'm going to step on a rake and, or some calamity is going to fall out of the sky. I think about this novel I read at LSU all the time called Beast in the Jungle by Henry James, about this guy who lives his whole life concerned that soon a thing is going to spring on him and destroy him, and by doing this he manages to completely fumble every important opportunity in his life because he's so seized with paranoia that something will destroy him. And at the end of his life he realizes that the beast in the jungle was his paranoia. It was his worry. And anyway, it's a fantastic short, it's a novella, I guess they call it. And sometimes I feel like I'm right on the edge of doing that because I feel so this life is so improbable, I'm not a good enough person to have really wound up in any of the spots that I wound up in any domain that I feel like I spent a lot of time going, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. You're going to blow it, whatever. So no, I feel very grateful. We don't have big plans. There's the thing, my family always did this. We would just go to a restaurant for Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner, which I think I'm learning that might be a New Orleans thing more than it is a general American thing. So we're going to a restaurant with my sister and her three boys, and me and Abby and the two kids.
Sounds awesome.
Should be good. We'll see. Knock on wood. No, no prep, no big effort. What about y'all? Do you have family coming to town, or you don't go anywhere? I mean, as a Canadian, how do you even think about the holiday?
Yeah, we kind of, we sort of did a light Canadian, like expat Canadian Thanksgiving, and then my dad's going to come down.
Oh, that's dope.
That'll be fun.
Hell yeah. Does your dad do childcare?
He plays with the kids. We're not like, leaving him for long periods with them.
Yeah, that's how Abby's mom is. It's like she's nice to have around. Obviously, it's great. She plays with the kids. It's a lovely little thing. But people go, "Oh, she's coming to town. You guys are going to go out for a date night, right?" And I'm like, "It's not really that kind of arrangement. It's not. It's been so many years for her since child rearing that you wouldn't necessarily want to leave young children just with her." So Abby and I, as you may know, don't get out very often.
What hot takes are you cooking?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I'm getting repetitive. I need something. I don't have a lot of hot takes. All my takes are cold now. I really like the post I read this morning about Gerard, and actually, well, this is kind of hot just because I think speaking religiously is fundamentally hot in our domain because nobody does it. But basically, I'm becoming more and more convinced that it is through the scaled and mimetic realm that evil operates today. And the reason evil is so difficult to perceive is that it's rarely an object. It's almost always a meta process of some kind. And I just read this wonderful post this morning about, of course, Gerard. And Gerard, I think, is, if he doesn't explicitly mention scale, he talks a lot about mimesis, and scale influences how mimesis works. Like it used to be that your mimetic sensibility came largely from like the village you lived in. You might want to be as rich as the richest guy in the village or as attractive as the most attractive person in the village. But now it's all global leaderboards, global hierarchies. And so the level of status
Or broken down
competition.
by category and ranked by revenue.
Hopefully, if the world were administered as justly as Substack, it would be. But it's like as a young person, you're looking at a truly like an immense competition, and the mimetic rivalry, as Gerard calls it, is
Hold
insane.
on. Donald
And
Bone
so,
is roasting us in the chat. This is like when your gay uncles take you out to ice cream the day before Thanksgiving Day, and you sit in the back of their Wrangler and try to puzzle out what exactly it is they do for a living.
dude, we have a Wrangler. That's awesome. That's okay. I take that as an extreme compliment. I drive a Nissan, and I don't think I have the nerve to commit to a Wrangler. I wish I did. What do we do for a living? I guess we spend a lot of time talking about software.
You're looking at it. We
You're
chat
looking
about
at it.
things. This is
That's
it's
right.
all chill. Never any hard decisions to make. Everyone loves us all the time.
Yeah, it's a very relaxing gig.
So unrelatedly, evil lives in egregores and the interaction between people.
At scale. Yeah, yeah. There's something
Madness
about
madness in
scale.
individuals is rare, but in crowds is the norm.
Yeah, yeah. Go crazy in congregations, get better one by one. I do think that's not a hot take, but it's like I just see it more and more, and I think you might remember this from early on in my time at the company. I still have hope that we're what we make is a smaller scale internet. It's just like the scales of each group. The scales of everything are smaller because the economic model doesn't require 100 million fans. If you have 5,000 paying subscribers, you're doing extremely well. And a community of 5,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 people can have coherence, and it isn't as, I don't think, hopefully, subject to the problems of scale as the communities that get created on other platforms. And so, scale just seems like the animating thing of my life lately, or the issues of scale. So that's my hottest take, is that there's a lot of evil out there in big domains.
Yeah, and there's like a balance of power between the mob and the individual, right? Where there's like a lot of the ills of technology media technology feels like, you have these emergent dynamics, these group effects, these systems that play out that any individual person is powerless against.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? You kind of have this imbalance where it's like this whatever this this process or this thing that's happening is, uh, it can run roughshod over people. And one of the things that we can try to do is, at least if your Substack is like your space, you can give like one person, you know, uh, sovereignty over it, basically.
yeah,
And it's like, one person can do something bad. A person can be evil. A person can, have all of the flaws, but at least it's not sort of, no one, right? At
yeah.
least it's
No
not
one.
this like, oh man, you can't really blame anybody, but this whole thing sure did go off the rails, didn't it?
Yeah,
Like giving individual people sort of moral power over the spaces they live in and the messages they repeat and the communities they inhabit feels like a promising lead to me. And something that's
yeah.
kind of like, at least aspirationally, is different on Substack than you might find in other places.
That's right. Yeah, and it's the thing that's not to toot our own horns or whatever, but it does feel like it's the thing that was kind of missing because scale was the only way. The biggest, it's like for years I remember being at Facebook, all they talked about was how many people were on Facebook. When they were trying to explain the importance of the company and its mission, they would say, there are 2 billion people on Facebook. And it's very hard for 2 billion people not to become a kind of a nobody governed aggregation of automatic processes that like are at a super personal level, but have personal consequences, or at the very least can make an individual person feel completely erased or alienated, as they used to say. I feel like this is a pattern with mass media systems. It's like there's like a catch-up period where the individual and communities have to figure out how to live in a world of aggregation. And yeah, I'm a cheesy internet optimist. I like the internet a lot. It gave me my entire life. And so I want to figure out something that can work with these technologies, these instruments. But God, it has been a dark period. For like there was a minute where it was just kind of like you said, it's like, oh shit, everything's going off the rails, and there's not an individual I could point to, nor an individual who I could imagine could change anything. Everybody's kind of in the
Yeah.
grips of the processes that they've got.
Yeah, you can have these weird traps where it's like every individual in the system doesn't like it. And
Yeah,
yet
yeah,
here we are.
yeah. Well, that's the Facebook thing that you and I talk about all the time is the that Deutsch line about how a compromise is no one's idea of what will work. Facebook was when I left was a product that there was no one in Facebook who was like, this is how I want a product to work. It was it was the result of a process, a methodology that was in a way the mirror of what was happening with the scale of the population. And I do think there's an interesting thing there of like, we're a small company still. Like it's still the case that
Yeah.
when we don't like
When
how
our product
Substack
sucks,
works.
it's my stupid idea,
Yeah,
not
right,
no
right. It's
one's
like we
stupid
could
idea.
somebody could be like, it's Chris, it's Mills, it's fucking whoever. I would never blame Vivian. I might blame Nick for some stuff, but yeah, I think that's a real thing. And it's funny, like that Deutsch stuff has just stayed with me forever. I bet we've never done a call with that without Deutsch coming up.
You're famously you have been famously and contrarianishly an AI bear and skeptic and wet blanket. But now enough people are doing that you're
I'm, I'm having my
you,
reaction. Hang on, Kizzy
hey.
came in, and I have to tell you, you look beautiful. What a glorious Christmas outfit. You want to say hi to Chris?
Hi, Chris.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Great
It's
outfit.
been a minute. Yeah, but this is great, Kizzy. I love it. You look so Christmassy. Are you all decorating downstairs?
Yes, we made a paper saying thing. Well, we kind of just like made things, and then made a bracelet.
No, spectacular.
These lights don't light up; they're just like pretend.
Okay, well, look, I'll be down in a minute. Okay, I'm gonna talk to Chris for a little while. Okay, I'll be down soon. All right, later. Love you. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a part of it which is just like it's I hate to admit the degree to which almost all of my reasoning is psychologically motivated, but I do have some automatic contrarian tendencies, which I'm not proud of. So now it's like at a certain point when everyone's like, yeah, these things are garbage, it's nothing. I'm like, well, hold on a second. They're not garbage. It's not nothing. The other thing though is just like it's become undeniable to me how meaningful they are for software development. And if that alone it's like we've gone from basically no hope of improved velocity with software development to it being at hand in what, a 5-year period or whatever. The way that everything was trending before, I mean, Facebook, when I was there, I think had 20,000 employees. And it's not like they were all non-prod dev. Prod dev was huge. I think I've told you this before, but the live video team was like 650 people or something like that. And how many people did we do live video with, And that, because going back to the thing we were just talking about, that you want individuals who have individual sensitivities and views and
Yeah.
taste in charge of this stuff. I think that's very encouraging. So like, I'm pretty excited about that dimension alone. Obviously, there's all kinds of, gnarly fucked up shit about it. And God, I just had a crazy experience with ChatGPT this week. I can't believe they're using medicine as a tentpole advertising feature, because it spent 4 or 5 days trying to tell me that my family was having cedar fever allergies. And then this morning, it pivoted in the same thread. It just said, this is a viral infection. And I said, well, hold on. You've been telling me it's allergies. I've been giving people antihistamines. We've been doing all this. We washed our sheets. And it said, you're totally right to call that out. And here's why now I'm certain it's a viral infection. There was no new information. It just kind of changed its interpretation of the same inputs. And I thought, okay, this is not good for medical stuff, but it's still, I mean, I can't deny it's made Nick's life a lot better, which always makes my life better.
Yeah, I feel like the software development stuff is starting to hit an inflection point right now. Like, I fixed my first iPhone bug the other day by adding cursor, and like, we just had a couple new models this week. We had Gemini 3, we had Claude Opus 4.5 just ship, and the early indications are like it's starting to be like it one-shot stuff. Like, you throw out something, you're like, hey, we have a bot in Slack where you can just be like, at cursor, go fix this thing, and it's starting to be able to do it. My prediction, I've actually had the same prediction for a while. We'll see if it bears out, which is that we're going to have sort of a similar curve that we had with self-driving cars. Maybe not quite the same, because it's much more real, but there was a moment where it was like super hyped, and it was clear that it was coming at some point, but not exactly when. And everybody got super overheated about it. And then a bunch of things happened and it didn't materialize right away. And the narrative turned and everybody was like, stupid self-driving cars are such a look at the tech bro fantasy. Like, these guys deluded themselves and whipped them. And so there was this weird time where there was this huge negative meme about it online. And I would experience that while like riding in a Waymo. Thinking, this is the best thing that's ever happened. And it's so cool. And I can't believe how well it works. And it's just so like, it was such a visceral change too, because it was something that like really transformed the face of the life around you and like something in the physical world. And so I think there was like a weird mismatch between the speed of kind of like the meme cycle and the speed of the development cycle, where they just got out of phase. And it was sort of like the hype level was completely the opposite of the reality level. I think we might go through that here. I think there might be, it's already at the point of kind of exhaustion where it's like these new models ship and people are like, yeah, it's cool. But like,
happened fast. It's funny. It's like that the exhaustion with the excessive up and down turns feels like it's happening faster. I mean, this is one of the things about getting older too, but it does just feel like every process in civilization has accelerated to the point where it's almost anthropologically difficult to keep up, anymore. I definitely remember that with self-driving cars. And I saw that Waymo just expanded to the whole Bay Area, which is extremely exciting for me as I prepare to come out there again. Cause I can go down to David's in San Jose in a Waymo, which I just love. But, yeah, I'm
finally feeling the heat. I think I've been taking the robo taxi around too. They know that's coming.
Oh yeah. Wait, that's the Tesla.
Yeah.
So that's NSF.
It's NSF. They're doing the test phase where there's still a guy or a person that sits in the driver's seat and just does nothing.
Okay.
And they're subsidizing it, so it's cheap but sort of unavailable. But it, it's a fully self-driving thing in just like normal Tesla cars.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Jay has a cool take about Tesla. I don't know. It might be a general take. I don't know, because I haven't ever read into the subject, but a cool take about why he's much more bullish on their robotaxi program than on Waymo. I have no idea how to compare the two. I just don't know the fundamentals of those businesses very, very well. But I just, you've heard me rant about this, I think, before, because it's been an obsession of mine. if they actually nail self-driving, truly, for real, the thing that I'm most excited about is changes to the housing markets because we just seem completely fucking stuck in this state where housing's extremely expensive. Nobody can live where they want. It's a nightmare for everyone. It actually feels like the government has to keep it that way. Otherwise, housing fails as an investment category. Like they want your house to be an investment vehicle that
Well,
can't lose value. And
I mean,
that,
speaking of evil things being baked into the systems that we accidentally create for ourselves, yeah, we're
yeah,
definitely in like a trap,
we're
like
in a
a
trap,
political
right?
economy trap.
You either destroy the most reliable investment vehicle for a giant portion of the country,
Yeah. Which, by
or
the way, you spent decades working hard
like
to get everybody to put all their money into as a matter of
right,
policy.
right, and that we're there, and but overnight, just if cars really become much more like rooms that move, they drop you at work, they pick you up at work, it becomes dramatically less important where you live, how close to a city center, all kinds of things change, parking changes, and the fantasy I've always had is someday they'll have semi truck sized houses that just drive. You don't know where you live.
This
You
is
live
this is
inside
the
of a house.
American apotheosis. The
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, it's like
You
an
thought the suburb
RV.
was American? No,
No, this is a
the strip
moving
mall. Forget
suburb.
about it. We're
Yeah,
roving
right.
bands of autonomous trailer parks is
And
the future we
housing
deserve.
will crash. That'll be a bad thing for
Literally,
householders. And sometimes houses will actually crash.
the
Um,
great the great housing crash.
but anything that changes this situation is worth pulling the string on to me. And so, because God, it just doesn't. I mean, I live in New Orleans, which is largely regarded as a failed city. It's my paradise, of course, but housing here is expensive. And I always think, man, if housing in New Orleans is expensive, what must it be like if you're trying to live in like a sane metropolis? I assume it's literally impossible.
It is very crazy. Yeah, I think the self-driving stuff is going to be cool for that. And the other, I mean, the problem you would immediately expect is you get induced demand. So it's like, yeah, everybody can, take a sleeper Waymo from SF to LA or whatever. But then that just results in so many people taking the thing that you wind up with, like the traffic gets worse in a
Oh yeah.
compensating factor. But I think that one nice political economy thing that changes is there is a very completely uh, effective solution to the induced demand congestion problem, which is congestion pricing. Right?
Oh
If you
yeah,
just say,
right.
hey, look, you have to you're going to price the externality of the traffic by making people pay for the driving in the congested area, which is politically very difficult when people have private cars and they feel like you're taxing them for their right. But I think once you have a large self-driving contingent, that'll change that, and the congestion pricing will happen. It'll get baked into the thing.
The way it
And
does
people
with
actually make money.
planes, right? The way it's like if you're trying to fly into New Orleans for Mardi Gras, your ticket's way more expensive, and nobody loses their mind about it. They're just like, "Yeah, that's life. It's the airports are full." And
Yeah.
whereas with your house, the way that this would be done with housing, I guess, would be property taxes. It's like, but like we have completely fucking stitched that up. You know what I mean? So that my understanding is in California, your property taxes don't, or for some category of homeowner, your property taxes can't change. Is that right?
It can't go up, and they've made not only can it not go up, but they've let it pass on to your children. So there's
No,
like a class of landed gentry in California that basically never have to pay their fair share of taxes.
that's awesome.
Um, and is like and they're never going to give that up because it's such a effective. Yeah, it's fun.
No, yeah. See, these
But
are
you know what's
probably
really good? You know what's really going to change the face of how we live is my man Sung Tzu and his flying cars. Do you know
Oh
about
yeah, yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah. I have to, of course, of course.
That's the thing. Because I think that's a thing we're ready for, right? You couldn't. There was sort of like a fake golden age of civil aviation in like the 70s, I think,
Yeah,
where they're like everybody's going to own a plane and drive around. And I think they do that in Alaska a little bit. Like people
yeah, yeah.
own planes and like drive them around. But it's so easy to kill yourself flying a plane.
Yeah,
And like,
thanks.
like people in cars is bad enough. People in small aircraft is really,
Not good.
it's dangerous. And you had, fixed wing, you need a whole ass runway and all the stuff. But, you get a vertical takeoff quadcopter, you give it, mostly autonomous or fully autonomous driving, and you get enough range. Like even if you get, whatever, half an hour or 40 minutes out of the thing, you could have just like a really amazing, transformative, like personal flying car thing.
Yeah.
And the world where you like, you live on an island 100 miles away, or out in the, you sort of have like the best of both worlds, right? You could have
Yeah.
your like house in the forest, or, it's European hill town, and then just pop into a city in like a quick hop is like I think that would dramatically change the face of how you could live. Where I grew up, in British Columbia, had a little bit of this. There's like Gulf Islands there, and there's like some rich people that basically live on an island and fly by float plane in downtown Vancouver.
Wow.
And so you sort of have this, you're like on your little island, you get on your little plane, you fly for 15 minutes, you get off the dock, and you're like downtown.
Holy cow.
And then like, but I think you could have that for a lot of people if you get
Yeah.
that thing working.
This will put huge strain on my marriage because, I don't leave the ground. And so
Oh
what'll end up
yeah,
happening
this is only gonna get worse for you. But
it's only
maybe the
getting
train
worse.
tickets will get cheaper then.
Oh my God, dude! We gotta talk about train ticket prices sometime. But no, Abby will be really disappointed if basically I doom us to living in like abandoned urban cores because I won't get on the quadcopter. But I mean, it's possible I'll feel better about quadcopters. I have a buddy who flies for the Navy, and we were talking about this the other day. I don't actually. I'll get in a small plane anytime. I've gone skydiving. I'll get in a helicopter. I don't like. This goes back to the scale conversation. I don't like being inside of a system like the civil aviation system. And this is not a rational point of view at all. It's just that so many interlocking processes and personnel are involved in all of that. It just freaks me out. I just don't. If you take me up into a much more dangerous small aircraft, but I can see the pilot, and I can see that he or she is not concerned about the instruments or whatever, I'm fine. That's not an issue. It's when I have to like trust in the successful interlocking execution of a scaled process system that I just go, you know what? I'd rather be on a fucking Amtrak. I don't like this.
But how does the train work, Mills?
Oh, I don't care. The train goes. Look, are you asking me? Am I scared about train derailments?
Well, yeah, isn't there a similar massive interlocking system?
No, it's so much lower stakes. If they fuck that shit all up, the odds are that cars go off and fall over. That's okay with me. I don't mind that. Tilting and falling over is fine, but having minutes to think about the decisions I've made in my life, I don't want that. That's what I don't want.
You're not afraid of the crash. You're afraid of the moment of clarity that comes before.
Yes. No, specifically what I don't like about flying is thinking about having a period where I'm like, okay, this is the end and I know it and I have to manage myself during that time. I don't like that idea at all.
All right. Well, maybe, maybe your personal flying car will just work for you.
It might. It actually might. And honestly, if they let me wear a parachute on an airplane, I wouldn't mind. Even though they tell me it's for whatever reason aerodynamically impracticable to survive if I could literally wear a parachute, I would fly on a plane any day of the week. I just don't want to get stuck up there with no way to get down on my own. You know what I mean? That's no good. So yeah. But no, I went skydiving when I was out in the Bay Area. It wasn't even that long ago. 7 or 8 years ago.
You contain multitudes. You're a man of contradictions.
I guess, yeah. It's just, small scale. I like small scale,
Well, before we wrap up, how is this experience of live video from desktop been?
Good. I think if I were a creative person, a writer who wanted to do this stuff from my computer, I'd really like this. I have my own, I've used a tiny refund check from my local utilities company to block my own view. I always wish there were a way to turn off self view in any video app. I can't be seeing myself. And then the mirroring, I think. I always regret that it's not easier. Yet, Alyssa is correct. We need to be able to screen share at some point. That's got to come. I'm sure Zach is aware of that. I always wish that it were easier to interact in some way. And this isn't really a criticism of the current implementation, but with the chat, like there's tons of funny, interesting stuff happening in the chat. We can't keep up with it. You can't it's like if you wait for it, that's not good. Tabitha, I don't know if you're still here, but thank you. I appreciate it. I have not missed vaping at all. And it's been okay. Yeah, that's otherwise I do feel quite good about it. I think it'll help anybody who likes to do this from their laptop. I always used to put my phone right in front of my laptop screen anyway.
Yeah.
So
Sick. Well, we should do this more often.
we should, man.
Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to anybody who's stuck it out. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And
Take care, everybody.
add us on notes and tell us what we should talk about next time.
Yeah. Later.
Cheers.